Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ernesto from Attaboy Cowboy, and today I'm recording in Cali, Colombia, and I want to share with you the special sauce of investing and getting wealthy. First, I'll explain number one, the common mistakes to getting wealthy. Number two, building a foundation. Three, getting wealthy. And four, exactly what is the special sauce. All right, so first let's talk about the common mistakes. So we just had this awesome party at my mom's house. My brother had this huge barbecue for 4th of July. We had a lot of friends over. And I was lucky enough to have two good friends with me. My friend Ash Ram, who is an economist from Bangladesh, used to work for the government there. And my friend Raj from India, who is a computer scientist and a math teacher here in Los Angeles. And then of course I had dozens of other friends. And because I've written some books, the Hardcore Program or How to Become Wealthy, when I go to parties, it's question after question. And I probably repeated this story about 20 times that night. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make a video on this, step by step, how to get this done, okay? Because everybody wants to make some money. Everybody wants to improve their financial situation. So one by one, I talked to people, carpenters, I talked to nurses, I talked to a lot of our friends I've known for many years. And they're asking me, okay, so this is what I'm doing. And one guy was telling me he's a contractor, and he's telling me, okay, I got this job. They paid me like 14 grand, and it was really easy. And then they just kept paying me more and more to do all this stuff. And he was basically telling me about how he was cutting corners and how he ended up making a lot of money. First thing you want to think about, whatever business you're in or service or at your work, whatever, don't cut corners, okay? If someone pays you $100 to do $100 of work and you do $50 of work, which is what this guy was doing, our friend James, you know, that's in short term you made money, you did less work, but in long term that's bad. General principle, everything you do you want to over deliver. If someone pays you $100 for $100 of work, give them $150 or $200 of work, because my phone is full of attorneys, doctors, scientists, you know, YouTube editors, book editors, whatever, all sorts of people that do services. And you think I'm gonna call the people that I think give the least amount of effort or I think I pay double to? I mean, people are smart, they catch on after a while. They're gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna find a better deal. And believe me, everybody that I, hire to help me do stuff, I'm always looking for something better or something cheaper. But I ultimately end up going back with certain people because I find out, you know what? They're giving me the best service at the best price. So this friend James was talking about how he was under delivering and making a lot of money. That's not the way to go. You want to over deliver. So that way your name will spread around. Those people will call other people and say, hey man, this guy's awesome. He did all this work. He went the extra mile. He was really attentive to me. And guess what? If James does that, his business is going to grow up. It's going to blow. His business is going to blow up. That's the same thing I do. That's the same thing everyone does. Everyone that's super successful over delivers. So never try to cut corners. Now, in terms of investing, I was also hearing stories about cryptocurrency, about day trading, all sorts of different stuff. Everybody's trying to figure out like an angle, kind of like an edge, right? Okay, day trading. I've tried a lot of different stuff. Day trading, stocks, options, puts, calls, all this kind of stuff. Sure, I made money in lengths of time, sometimes over periods of years, but it's just like gambling. You could win 99% of the time, you lose 1% of the time, you lose all your money. I have a friend, Richard, awesome gambler, one of the best I've ever heard of. He's literally started with $10 or $20 and built it up to 20 grand. And he's lost all of his money every time. That's kind of how investing goes. If you're trying to hit home runs, it just becomes like a casino. It's gambling, okay? My friends that trade crypto, another thing, crypto is not good. It's basically set up and meant to be for the black market, for people that are doing fraud, drug dealing, illegal activity all over the world, terrorism, whatever. Sure, you're gonna see big companies getting into it, making ETFs, helping make marketplaces for it. Yeah, sure. Those big companies, those big banks, big investment, companies, they're always gonna look at ways to make money. If they can cash in on these markets, they're gonna do it. But guess what? It's like sheep going to the slaughterhouse. That's what they're banking on. They're not necessarily putting all their money into crypto or whatever. They're gonna make money off the people that are being herded in by all the celebrities and all the Super Bowl commercials and all that kind of stuff. And if you look at it and you read about all this stuff, what's happening to a lot of people? A lot of people are getting sued. You know, I love Shaq. You know, last I heard, there was a bunch of people trying to track him down so they can serve him with court papers and sue him. And Tom Brady and a lot of these people, you know, I'm sure they didn't mean it, but you know, you kind of just want to stay away from that stuff. Stop trying to look for shortcuts. That's the main thing. You got to change the way you look at things. When I was talking to all these people at the party, they were all pitching all these ideas about, you know, schemes and, you know, trades and like secrets and stuff. There are no secrets, okay? So you gotta wipe that out of your head. And believe me, everyone has been there. I have too. There's temptation everywhere. You know, there's FOMO, fear of missing out. You hear about people making all this money. I mean, I had some roommates, a couple Russian guys. One of them was living in my laundry room and he made like $1 million like in a few months off crypto. And then he went off to live in Ensenada. And last I heard, he was just spending all his money on hookers and blow, you know, like drugs. Okay. Well, I'm sure you can imagine what happened. He crashed and burned. My other roommate, you know, he was making a lot of money. Vitaly, he made like a few $100,000 in like 6 months. Before that, he was making about 20 grand a year. He bought like this car. He started buying all this fancy stuff. And guess what? He lost all of his money and he was doing Uber. And at the time I was telling him, dude, put it into index funds, do investing, follow the plan I wrote in my book, How to Become Rich and Successful. He laughed at me and so did his friends. They said I was old. I was following all the old school tricks. It's all right. They lost all their money. Later on, they said, hey, you were right. I'm not like, you know, this is stuff that's common knowledge amongst experts. I just listen to the people that have paved the path. In fact, I've made so many mistakes. I have a picture here of Warren Buffett on my cell phone. And when I look at him, every time I look at my phone, I'm not looking at him saying, oh, I want to be the richest guy in the world. Sure, that would be good. But that's not my main focus on him. I admire his integrity, his honesty, his value system. Man, this guy's really generous. He's a good person. It's like, wouldn't it be awesome to be super wealthy and be also a super good person? And that's, for me, that's what Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, a lot of these people that are really good investors, that's what they represent. And that's what I try to focus on, and that's what I try to share with people. Building a foundation for becoming wealthy. Okay, I've been blessed to be around a lot of smart and successful people throughout my life. I grew up in Los Angeles, in the inner city, and I'm still exposed to all those people, all right? So some people say, well, I don't know anybody like that. All I know are like low lives or whatever. I know plenty of low lives and people taking shortcuts and people that are undisciplined and all this other kind of stuff. But you have to be smart. You have to gravitate towards people that can share things with you to make you better. I have some really boring and unassuming friends, and I have some really exciting friends, okay? One friend in particular comes to mind is my friend Art. You see him, he doesn't have any social media. Whenever I see him, he looks like he's wearing the same clothes I've been seeing him wearing for like the last 20 years. Like clothes he's bought at Costco with no like marks on them or designer labels or anything. But the guy's loaded, okay? He'll never tell me. He's super humble. All our conversations are super humble, but he's an avid investor. He's super smart. He's always reading. He's always sharing stuff with me. And I know that he knows a lot more than he leads to be. That's what I really admire about people. You always want to be the guy in the room that talks the least and listens the most, okay? Like they say, the quietest guy in the room is the smartest guy in the room. When you meet people that are like promising you the moon and they're just like ostentatious and driving around all these cars and all this, showing off all this money, you know, like you see in these like social media posts and all that stuff. Those are not real rich people. Those are not people you want to emulate. You want to copy people that know the fundamentals. Again, back to Warren Buffett, super simple guy, eats at McDonald's, lives in the same house that he's owned since he was like a kid or something like that, okay? Nothing outlandish or extravagant, no yachts or nothing like that. You have to be teachable, okay? The only way you're gonna be teachable is if you can control your ego. I went to school 15 years, I have 12 college degrees, and one would think, oh, you know everything. I might tell myself that. I don't. The more I've learned, the more I realize I know nothing. And I'm going to focus on always trying to learn more. Always. I had this really good friend, Jen. When I was at college, he was an avid investor. He lived in a really small apartment and he was super wealthy. I'm talking tens of millions of dollars, and this is in the 90s. I'm sure now he's in the hundreds of millions, maybe in the billions, okay? And he was really humble. He drove a really old car. And I was Mr. Cerritos College. I had all these fancy clothes. I had a nice car. I got all these girls, whatever. It's when I knew nothing about money, okay? And he used to talk to me and he used to tell me to read this book called The Wealthy Barber. And I thought, I don't want to read that. And this guy had so much money invested in many companies, including Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, that he would get invited. In those days, it was to Warren Buffett's house, Omaha, Nebraska. They'd have these, like 4-day seminars where he would talk about why he did what. He'd teach things. They'd have lots of See's Candy and lots of food. And, See's Candy is one of the companies that Berkshire Hathaway owns. And this guy would invite me because when you're a Class A stockholder in Berkshire Hathaway, you get invited to this every year. And my friend owned multiple shares, so he could bring me. And I used to turn them down. I used to say, nah, man, that sounds pretty boring. I look at pictures of Warren Buffett. He's like an old white guy, and he talks kind of slow. And I thought, nah. I don't want to do that. One of the biggest mistakes of my life, but also one of the best experiences, teaching experiences. Control your ego. Allow yourself to be taught. So many of my friends are super smart, scientists, lawyers, doctors, PhDs. And I talk to them and I just think, wow, man, I love my friend, but this person is so arrogant. They think they know so much, but actually they know so little. And I'll tell you what happens. This is a common trap that smart people fall into. You go to school, you get all these degrees and you're thinking, hey, I know a lot, man. I got like a PhD. I have a master's in economics. I have an MBA. I have a bunch of degrees. And I'm thinking, I should know everything about money. No, that is a big mistake. What you did in the past is in the past. That's not the future. I went to school and that's over. I went to school 15 years. I probably remember 5% of what I learned or less, okay? Learning is something you have to do through your whole life, and it's a daily exercise. I physically exercise. I like to lift weights, I swim, I do martial arts, whatever. I spend maybe an hour a day on that. But reading, studying, 8 hours or more every day. They say that you should read a minimum of a book a week. I probably read about a book's worth of information a day. Through audiobooks, watching YouTube videos, reading books, reading on my phone, whatever, or talking to experts in different fields, because it's constant. Your brain is pruning. Every night you go to sleep and you're gonna erase most of what you learned throughout the day. It's an actual neurological process. You're gonna erase a lot of this stuff. So you're gonna retain very little. So if you wanna keep reinforcing that, you have to keep learning. However, some of my friends that are highly educated say, hey, I'm a doctor, I'm a PhD, I'm good. Bad mistake, And I talk to him about stuff and I'm like, wow, man, this guy's like 10 years behind, 20 years behind, and pretty much everything. If the person is a neurologist, neurology, he probably knows a lot because he's practicing it every day. But just because he has a PhD in neurology doesn't mean he knows about investing, real estate, nutrition, social relationships, dating. There's so many things to learn and to know. I don't just read one thing. I'm learning every day. I read stuff about mining, oil exploration, global warming. Science, technology, health, artificial intelligence, book writing. There's so many things to learn and know. And unless you venture down those holes, you're not going to learn everything else that it opens up into. And that's basically what I do. When I'm doing something, I want to learn about it, I venture down, I open up all this stuff, and then I start learning. And then I look for people that are smarter than me. There's always people that are smarter than you. Always. This morning, my computer wasn't working. I was like, oh man, I got to go to the computer shop. A taxi driver picked me up, old guy. He looked kind of broken down, tired, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna take you over to the computer shop. I've been there. Oh, okay. He goes, make sure you negotiate, because these guys like to blow it up. Then they like to keep your computer a few days. They like to steal your data. I'm like, oh my God, what a nightmare. I don't want to do all that, but I need my laptop, you know? And so he asked me, what's wrong with it? So I go, okay. I told him, dude, a few of the keys are sticking. He goes, okay, I'm gonna take you right now to fix it. And he said, is that okay? I said, yeah, let's do it. We stopped at the gas station and we got, you know, the pump for the tires, the air pump, whatever. He started blowing into all my keys. And as he was doing, he was telling me, yeah, some people go buy these cans of concentrated oxygen or air or whatever for like $5. And I'm saying, yeah, I see those everywhere, all the offices I go to. Dude, all you need is a pump. This guy started blowing the heck out of my pad, and I was pushing the buttons and he fixed it like in 30 seconds. And I was like, dude, awesome, man. I gave him a big tip. I said, man, you made my day. I was super nervous about dropping off my laptop somewhere. He goes, you know why you did it? Because you're smart. And I said, why am I smart? I ain't doing anything. You did everything. He goes, because I'm 70 years old and nobody listens to me. They think, oh, I'm a taxi driver. These guys know nothing. He goes, you're one of those smart people that listens to everybody and takes advice. And I thought, oh, okay. I go, wow, that's a huge compliment, this guy. But this guy saved me a lot of heartache just because I listened to him. And that takes controlling your ego. I could have said, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm, you know, this and that. No, man. Always, everybody, even homeless people, the person that's the quietest or might look like the dumbest in the room or whatever, are the ones you can often learn the most from. This guy saved me a lot of time and money, and only because I allowed myself to be teachable. Now, in terms of school, I just want to reiterate. Now, back to the school part, I just want to make one point, because I see a lot of people saying, don't go to school, you don't need school. You know, Bill Gates dropped out of, you know, college, this and that. Okay, Bill Gates is 1 in a million. He's a phenom, okay? I'm not a phenom, most of us are not. And maybe we could be, but 99.9% of people that go to school are much better off. School is your best investment. Go to school. If you can go to school, even if you forget, you know, 95% like I have, you have a foundation. It teaches you discipline. School is not something you want to ignore. Go to school, especially since we have artificial intelligence. They're going to start taking over everything. You know, you need to go to school. Some people are like, oh, but you're going to have student debt. So what? Debt is awesome. Rich people love debt. Now, if you're going to go to school and you're going to study easy stuff like business, communications, art, graphic design, social studies, okay, then go to community college, go to the cheapest school, go to free schools. Because yeah, you're probably going to be broke, okay? Remember, everything is a measure of how much you put into it. If you study something in STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, things that people struggle with a little bit more, they're a little more work, then the compensation is going to be greater. You know, that's why those people get paid more. It's common sense. So if you get out of school and you're, you know, like I meet a lot of college people the other day. Right now, I have a student, Allison, that's shadowing me in the clinics. And she's a manager of Starbucks. And she's telling me about the whole experience. Really interesting. I just want to ask her a million questions every day. And that's all I want to do is learn from her. Yeah, she's learning from me, but I'm learning from her. And one of the things I remember is she says that most of the people working at her coffee shop are college graduates. I go, what would you say? She goes, like 70, 80%. I said, wow, that many? She goes, yeah. She goes, and they're loaded with debt and they're working at Starbucks. And you know, I heard the same thing from a friend of mine that works at Home Depot. Said most of his coworkers studied in college and they're working at Home Depot. Okay, why? I asked them why. Well, they told me they studied history, they studied art. You know, I'm not saying there's anything bad with any of those fields, but they're oversaturated and they're easy. It's an easy thing to study. It's like getting another high school diploma. So if it's easy, people are not gonna pay you a lot for it. You gotta learn complicated stuff so people will pay you more for it. That's just a fact. So again, if you're gonna study something hard that pays well, then sure, go to Harvard, go to USC, go to the best universities. If you're gonna study something that pays nothing, then go to the cheapest school you could possibly find and be ready to be broke. As long as you're happy with being broke, then that's cool. Then go to one of those schools and study something easy. Getting wealthy. All right, first thing you gotta do, easy, set a goal. Write your goals down. Figure out exactly what you want to achieve. You need something to focus on so that you have something to work towards. If you don't, you're just kind of all over the place. The human brain doesn't work like that. Your brain is interpreting sensory information from everywhere. Auditory, olfactory, gustatory, tactile, proprioceptive, everything. Help train your brain. You need to focus it, okay? This is neurological. You need to focus in on goals. I have my top 10 goals written on my wall. Let me give you an example. One of my goals. I was 24 years old. I wanted to be a millionaire in 3 years. That was the goal. Now, how was I gonna do that? I don't know. I was making like $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and I was gonna try and do it in 3 years. It doesn't matter how you're gonna get there. It matters the end game. Focus and start with the end in mind. Everybody says that. All these self-help books start with the end in mind. It's true. I focused on that, and what happened? Things just kind of started moving in that direction for me without me really thinking about it. You just kind of want to go with the flow in life. You know what they say, be like water. Don't overanalyze. Like the saying goes, paralysis by analysis. You keep thinking, it's not gonna work. Set the goal and focus on the goal. You're gonna get there. How did I do it? Okay, I was 24, I started working. My brother unfortunately got sick. I needed money to take care of him, and I needed to buy a home for him to live in because I realized that paying his rent was gonna be tough. So I ended up buying some houses. Unfortunately, my brother passed away, but the money I was investing started growing in my investment accounts. The properties I bought tripled in price. That wasn't even in my plan. I wasn't thinking about none of that stuff. I had no interest in it. My plan was to get out of college first time around. I didn't end up getting out till I was 33, but the first time around I was out like at 24, and my plan was to learn Italian, which I did, and to move to Italy by 30 because I absolutely love Italy. Okay, that's my plan. I'm gonna work 6 years, I'm gonna move to Italy, I'm gonna rent an apartment, and then I'm just gonna move to Brazil, I'm gonna move to Paris, move to Egypt, Tokyo. I'm gonna move all around the world and just be a backpacker. And I thought with my education, I can get jobs in healthcare fields. The healthcare is one of those things you can translate to most parts of the world. Or if not, I'll work and save and just keep moving around. I was basically just gonna be a nomad. That was my plan. But things started flowing in a different direction. I said, cool, just went along with it. Don't fight things, just kind of move. You know, that's what happens with anxiety. People get anxious because they worry and they want to control stuff. You can't control the world. All you can do is control your attitude towards it. So if your life is moving in a certain direction, don't fight against it, go with it and see what unveils and make the best of it, okay? In Buddhism, there's a story about a little stream of water running down a hill and it hits a rock. You think the water stops there? No, of course not. It splits and it flows around it and just keeps going. I always keep that in mind. Be like water, just flow. My brother got sick, I need to buy houses. Okay, guess what? I'm a millionaire at 28. It was a year later than what I thought. That's fine. In terms of the plan, let me give you the plan now. If you want more details, read some books. The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or even my book, How to Become Rich and Successful. Those give you a little more detail. It's very simple, okay? Number one, reduce your taxes. However much you make, whether you make 10,000 or 100,000 or a million, you need to invest. You need to lower your tax. Number one, max out your 401k or 403b, which is the government version of the 401k. Once you max that out, then you're gonna max out your Roth IRA, not your traditional. Once you max out the Roth, if you have nothing else and you're able to, then you can go to the traditional. Why do you want to focus on these? It's really simple. The government is giving you 30% of your money back for free. Let's put it in a simple example. This I talk to people all the time and almost nobody does it. I'm going to make it real simple. Let's say you make 10 grand. 30% of that is $3,000. Okay, that's how much theoretically you would pay. Okay. Now, if you get 1,000 of that and you put it into your 401k, which is your retirement account, the government won't tax you on that $1,000. It's gonna tax you on the 9,000. So now 30% 9,000 is 2,700. So now you're paying $2,700 instead of 3,000. You just got a free $300. Okay, that's a lot. Now, if we're talking about $100,000 income and you're gonna pay 30,000 in taxes, and you put $10,000 into your retirement account, that's $3,000 the government gave you for free. You get that money, you invest it in index funds. Don't gamble. That's the big mistake I made. That's what a lot of people do. They start buying all these crazy stocks and they're trying to make all this money. Put it in the index funds. Vanguard is number one. Vanguard brokerage. It just is. It's the best, okay? They charge the least and they give you the most. Like we were talking about services, that's why they're the biggest and they're the best. That's where I put all of my money. It's all there. Even Warren Buffett, the greatest investor, the Oracle of Omaha, he puts his money there. Guess what? I'm gonna do the same. A lot of the other pros put their money there. That's where I'm putting it. It's over. No, out of over. Don't start asking your buddies, your friends, oh, let me buy some crypto. Let me go buy some Nvidia or some Tesla or whatever. You can get all that stuff inside of an index fund. An index fund might have, for example, I like VGT, Vanguard Growth Technology Fund, or QQQ, another technology fund. They have like the top 100 tech firms, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, Facebook, Adobe, all the best companies. And you get a share of all of them. So if one goes down, the other one goes up, you still make money. It's awesome, okay? I'll give you a quick example. My friend Anita, a few years ago, I was helping her do her taxes. I was telling you, you gotta put money, you gotta put money. No, I don't want to. You gotta put money in your investment account so you can lower your taxes. She finally did it. She put like 15 grand in there. She forgot about it. About 7 years later, she was like, it might have been a little bit more, but I think it was like about 7 years later, she checked because she was gonna buy a house. And she's like, oh my God, I have $140,000. You have 140, you put 15,000? I mean, it went up like almost 10 times in 7 years. That's not normal. Usually it's the rule of 72. Your money at 10% interest, let's say, doubles about every 7 years, okay? She made a huge amount of money. She was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I listened to you. It's that easy. You have to just invest your money and forget about it. I'll give you an example of a common mistake when it comes to investing. This is one I did. I've done many different. I had 100 grand, put it in. I started buying all this stock in this company that goes to space and went up over $1 million. I thought, oh my God, I'm so smart. I'm better. I know more than everybody. That's at everything. That's your ego, remember. Sigmund Freud said, ego, superego, and the id, right? It's like that little voice that's in your ear. Yeah, do it. No, you got to control that. So I made over $1 million. I thought, oh, I'm so smart, whatever. Guess what? The stock crashed, all right? It went from 100,000 to over $1 million to 50,000. Then it stung pretty bad. That's happened to me a bunch of times. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to take the steady route now, the Warren Buffett approach, make my money back. Now, to get from 50,000 to 100,000, that means I have to double my money. I have to make 100% return on investment. That doesn't sound very appealing because the rule of 72, 10%, 7 years, that means I'm gonna take about 7 years to double my money from 50 to 100 just to get back to where I started. Now that's what causes people to start, oh my God, let me scheme. Let me hit a home run. Let me just try to find an angle. Don't do that. That's how you get stuck gambling, okay? You get desperate. So that's how I lost all my money, and that's how a lot of people lose their money. Don't do that. Now, if you think you don't have money, you do. Dig deeper, find some money, okay? My friend Joanna was like, oh, I wanna buy a house, I wanna do this. My rent is like, 40% of my income. Go live at your mom's house. Been telling her for like years. She finally said, okay, I'm gonna do it. She's moving to their mom's house. I lived at my mom's house. It was cool. Go live at your mom's house. It might not be the coolest, but it's part of your plan, the goal. Remember, stay focused on the plan. Forget about ego. Forget about, oh, I'm not gonna be cool. I'm living in my mom's basement. It's all right, man. Don't worry about that. Just do it in the short term so you can get caught up on your bills, pay off your credit cards, and focus on the next step of your goal. Restaurants. Forget about them. Don't go to restaurants. Most of the people that I see and talk to, my tenants, like people that I work with, they blow all their money going to restaurants. I don't go to restaurants, they're expensive. The quality of food is poor and it's for lazy people, okay? You're gonna get fat, you're gonna be unhealthy. I'm sorry, it's the truth. You're not gonna be healthy going to restaurants. Sure, there's a few healthy places you can go to when you're in a pinch, like Chipotle. That's cool, but you know what? You need to prepare. If you don't have money and you're broke, become vegetarian. Eat beans and rice and vegetables. That's it. Keep it simple. Save all your money. I buy a bag of beans, costs about $1. I eat it for about 4 days, 25 cents a day. I buy carrots, potatoes, celery, bananas, apples, oranges, the cheap stuff. I spend very little. I hear people, oh man, I spend like all this money. Sure, I spend a little more money now because I'm not broke anymore, but I still buy beans, rice, vegetables, nuts. You know, I'm vegetarian. You're gonna be healthier, you're gonna look younger, you're gonna, ward off things like cancer, diabetes. All around, it's good. Don't live in overindulgence, buying these great big old steaks and going out to restaurants and chocolates and sugar, and it's just gonna kill you faster and you're gonna blow all your money. Learn how to be a good cook, have fun, watch some YouTube videos, learn how to cook yourself healthy food, save your money. Cars, that's another one that blows people away. Everybody has this thing where they have to buy cars. Buying cars is a joke, you don't need cars. I'm 49 and I've been a millionaire since I was 28. I've never bought a new car. And anybody that knows me, I don't have nice cars. The car I have right now is salvage. It's been in 2 car accidents, not 1, but it works great. I don't buy lemons. I buy cars that work excellent, but they may not look the prettiest. Why? Because you don't need to do that. You need to invest your money. If you invest the $500 you would spend a month on a car payment in your 401k, in your Roth IRA, in 30 years, you'd have about $6 million, if not more, okay? 6 to 12 million. That's enough to retire on. So if you're like 20 years old, 30 years old, remember, it's never too late. Doesn't matter. If you're 50 years old right now, you're 60 years old, you can start right now with what I'm telling you, okay? But obviously, the younger you are, the better it is. You put your money away, the price of a car payment, you're a millionaire. You can do that working at Starbucks, working at Home Depot. Doesn't matter. It's not how much you earn, it's how you manage it. In my book, I have a story about a friend. He makes like $500,000 to $1 million a year. He's a doctor, he makes a lot of money, super cool guy, always broke. Every time I talk to him, he's like, dude, where have you been? Where'd you go? How do you get to travel so much? Well, look outside. This guy's got like a $150,000 car. His wife has a $100,000 car. They have like a 7-bedroom house for 2 people. They have like the best clothes. That's not a life. You don't have any time for anything. You're working to pay for that stuff. So sure, on paper or on pictures, you might look like you're loaded, but he's poor. He actually tells me that every year he falls deeper and deeper into the hole because he might make, let's say 500, but he spends 700. So he's broke. He has negative income, he has no investments, nothing. So a guy at McDonald's, he puts money away, he's richer than my friend. Sure, he doesn't have the clothes in the car, but who cares about that? I have clothes. I got these at the thrift store. They cost like a few dollars, so what? I'm covering myself up, it's meeting its purpose. That's all that matters. That's the mentality of a millionaire. Next step is buy a property. Now, how are you gonna do it? Okay, you've been putting all this money, your 401k, your Roth IRA. Once you build up some money, even though you don't make a lot of money, you're gonna go to the bank, you're gonna try to get a loan for a house. That's how they approve you. They want to see what kind of person you are. It's not all numbers, it's a person also. Oh, this person is sophisticated, they're disciplined, they have retirement accounts. That shows that you know what you're doing, okay? Then you have your 6 months of reserves that you need to buy a house. You have some money that you can use for a down payment. So then you get the house. And that's where you start building generational wealth. That's the next step, okay? Things have changed now. It's not the same anymore. We have overpopulation. That's why you're seeing all this inflation. There's too many people, too little resources. When I was a kid growing up, all I saw were houses building in the 80s and 90s all around and in Los Angeles. Those days are gone. I see houses being built an hour away. All I see now are apartments. That's the reality now. It's all gonna be apartments. The days of people working, getting to 65 or whatever the magic number is, and magically being able to retire, those are gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You gotta start over, think differently. There's very little, if no pension plans. Social Security, forget it. I look at my Social Security, I put in the maximum every month. When I'm like 65, I'm gonna get like $1,700. I couldn't pay anything for that. That's like nothing. I think I need like, 5 times that much to live in Los Angeles. So $1,700 is not gonna cut it. One of my cousins, Sandra, she's about 65. Her company, the 99 cent store, just closed down. And she's in an existential moment right now. She's thinking like, wow, what am I gonna do now? I lost my job. I don't have any retirement accounts. I have no pensions. Do I go on Social Security? No, she can't. Like a lot of people, that's not enough to even pay her rent. So she's got to find another job. So the reality is most people now are going to work till the day they die. That's just the reality. They're gonna be renters forever, and they're always gonna have to work because rents always go up. They don't go down, okay? When you buy a house, technically your payment's going down every year because of inflation. The value's going up, the payment's going down in value. My dad bought a house for $33,000. It's worth $850,000 now. That's just the way it is. You know, when he bought the house, my mom and dad, they almost got divorced. They didn't want to buy it. They're like, oh my God, we're gonna have to pay $400 a month. That's a lot of money. Well, guess what? 30 years later, they're like, holy shit, $400? Everybody's paying like $2,000, $3,000 a month just for rent. We're paying $400. Now their house is paid off. Now they pay like $200 a month for taxes and insurance. That's it. If you were to rent that house, you're probably looking at $6,000 a month. See how it goes the opposite direction? So if they were still renting, they'd be having to pay $6,000. You know, they would never be able to retire. Don't worry about Social Security becoming insolvent. That's not gonna happen. People are not gonna be able to retire. They're not gonna draw from it. There's gonna be money because no one's gonna use it. And some of my friends say, well, hey, I'm just gonna move to the boonies. I'm gonna move to Las Vegas. I'll move out to Corona or, you know, Bakersfield or wherever. I'll buy a house out there and live there. Okay, fine. If you have family there, you have friends, and that's where you wanna live, then that makes a lot of sense. If you don't, that's not a good plan. Some of my friends, they're like, oh man, I moved out here and nobody visits me. I have friends that live like an hour out of LA, and I see them probably like once every 5 years, and so does their family. People, you know, your life is about enjoying it with your family and your friends. You want to be where those people are. You don't want to live an hour or 4 hours away. Realistically, they're just not going to visit you. You're not going to see them. You know, you're going to kind of be in a lonely space. And you might say, yeah, but it's so much cheaper. Yeah, but it's not just about money, okay? It's about quality of life. I live in Los Angeles because it's like one of the best places in the world to live. It's the 1% best weather on the whole planet, okay? You got Hollywood, you got Disneyland, you got a lot of cool stuff. Sure, everywhere in the world has cool stuff. But that's where I'm from, and it just happens to be a really cool place. So the people that I know that move out to Florida or Texas or somewhere to try to save money on taxes or buy a cheaper house, they're not happy. A lot of them end up coming back, or they're like, damn, I left, I got a cheaper house, but remember, you get what you pay for, okay? You get what you pay for. Those states have much higher tax rates. In the end, you end up paying way more property taxes. We have Prop 13. My dad's paying property taxes at the rate he paid in the 70s. And we're in 2020s right now, okay? You don't get that benefit in most states. Plus the appreciation's greater. You're around a lot of smart people, a lot of the best innovators in the world. The whole world, when they do studies, come from like LA and New York, okay? It's just a fact. There's other cities, of course, but those are the two of the best. So why would I want to live where I'm not going to be around the smartest, the most creative people in the world? No, it's a no-brainer. I'd rather pay a little more and live in an ideal situation where I can personally develop better. Now, if I'm just going to never do nothing, then sure, I'll go live out in the boonies. You know, if my family lived out somewhere like that, then yeah, I would rather live there. Forget about LA. I want to be where the love is, okay? That's really important to your well-being as a person. The special sauce. All right, so let me break this down to you, okay? And I'm gonna give you a quick example I just gave to my cousin Lulu and my friend Carla. They're just new immigrants to the US, and they're like, all right, how do I do it? All right, set the goal. Goal is millionaire in 3 years. That's their goal, not because that was my goal. House in 3 years or 4 years, okay? How are you gonna do it? Basically, no usable education because they studied in other countries, and whatever they studied is not acceptable in the US. So they're both gonna become nurse assistants, 5 weeks of training. Minimum wage where I live, $15, all right? They're gonna get 25 because they're doing something that other people don't wanna do. That's what you wanna do. What other people don't wanna do, that's what pays more. Okay, Carla passed her exam. She called, okay, I told her, call the place that are close by. She's all right, I'm gonna figure out how to get this job. She called, they're like, oh, come in right now. I interviewed in an hour. She's like, oh my God, the first place I called, they want to interview me. All right, we drove over there. Guess what? She wrote down the wrong address. We went to the wrong nursing home. That nursing home goes, oh my God, oh yeah, we need one too actually. What shift did they offer you? Oh, they offered me the morning shift. Okay, we have the afternoon and the night shift. We'll hire you also. Guess what? Now she has 2 jobs. Your working day is 16 hours, okay? Remember that. 8 hours of sleep, 16 hours to study, to read, to learn, to work, to improve yourself. Exercise, eat beans and rice, you know, eat vegetarian, all that kind of stuff. 16 hours is the day. So we'll break it down real easy. She got a simple job, 25 an hour, 16 hours a day. That's about 400 a day. If she does that 7 days a week, 2,800 a month, a little over $11,000. Okay, there's 13 pay periods in a month, so 11 times 13, she's looking at like around 140 grand a year for someone that just studied for 5 weeks. That's awesome. She puts 22,500 into her 401k, another 7,500 into her IRA. That's 30,000. She drops her taxes, so they're only taxing her on 110 instead of 140. So she's already making $9,000 right there. That's going towards building up her investments, which go up about 10 to 20% a year if she buys index funds. She's also building up her deposit and her credibility to be able to buy a house in 3-4 years, okay? Now, from the rest of the money, she's gonna ride public transportation, or she's gonna buy a salvage car, or she's gonna walk. She's not gonna go rent an apartment. She's not gonna buy a new car. She's not gonna buy new clothes, nothing. She's gonna get every penny that she can, and she's gonna put it into index funds. And people are like, oh, but what about the taxes? No, you gotta understand the fundamentals of investing, okay? Investing, if you're gonna buy and sell next week, no, you don't do that. You buy, hold, and die. Okay, that's what they say. Buy, hold, and die. Why? All right, I'll tell you about my friend Saria. He was trading cryptocurrency. He's like, oh, you're gonna buy some? No, I'm not. Oh, look all the money. Okay, fine. He invested, I don't know, like 10 grand. He made all this money, went up and down. At the end of the day, he lost all of it. Oh, I lost all my money, but it was interesting. Okay. End of the year comes, he gets a tax bill for $65,000. He's like, dude, what do I do? Okay. I tell him to talk to a tax attorney, talk to CPA, but basically make it simple. This is what happened. I used to have the same experience and I'll day trade. That's how I figured out that's one of the foolish, dumbest things you could do, okay? You might meet people that make money in the short term. Some of you are probably thinking, but I made all this money. Yeah, I did it for years. At the end, you're gonna lose it all, okay? It's very complicated to do your tax return. And this is what happens. Let's say my friend got 10,000, bought crypto, and went up to 20. When you sell it, you realize the gain. So he sold it at 20. That means he made 10,000. That means he owes Uncle Sam, the IRS, 3,000 in taxes, okay? He gets that 20,000. He puts it into another crypto, he loses it all, goes to zero. Most people think, oh, okay, I lost all my money, I'm good, I'm not even gonna put on my taxes. You have to put that on your taxes. You made $10,000. You still owe the $3,000 in taxes. See what I mean? He kept doing that over and over throughout the year. At the end of the year, he must have made like hundreds of thousands, but he lost it all. He owed $65,000. Now, if you do your accounting properly, and you know how to do your stuff, then yeah, you can fix that. It's not like something that can't be saved. But if you're buying and selling investments, you're gonna run into this problem all the time of capital gains taxes. You might buy and sell Tesla right now and you make $10,000, you're gonna go $3,000. And let's say you sell it like, you hold it for the next 3 years and it goes to zero. You still paid that $3,000 tax. See what I mean? That's not how investing works. It's not really, you're not a trader. You don't trade every day. Those are the guys you see on TV yelling and throwing little papers and stuff. You never do that. Whatever you buy, just think about holding it for the rest of your life. Why? Because it's gonna keep growing, and the idea is to use it when you retire. Or you get what's called a step up in base. Let's say you pay 10 grand. It goes up to 100 grand. Now you owe 30% of the 90,000. You owe 27,000 taxes, as an example, okay? If you die and you leave it to somebody, they value it as if the 100 was the starting point, not the 10. So the person you leave it to, your kids or whoever, the foundation you leave it to, they owe no taxes. Now, you can also do that as you get older. You can transfer, you can gift that, you can give it to people, okay? And then they don't have to pay the taxes on it. So there's ways to avoid the taxes. That's what rich people do. Poor people and suckers are the ones that are buying and selling stock on Robinhood. Those are for suckers. Don't use those. Robinhood, Betterment, all those apps, those are for you to keep going up and down. Those are for sheep. That's because they want you to keep buying and selling so you can lose money, owe taxes. That's all that's gonna happen. I guarantee it. Trust me. It's happened to me, it happens to everybody. Any pro will tell you, you buy and hold. That's it. You buy these assets and you hold them. They go up in value. You're never gonna owe taxes because you never sold them. But yet they're going up, and instead of having 10,000, now you have $1 million. But guess what? When you buy houses, they go, oh man, you have $1 million? Yeah, I'm gonna give you great interest rate. I'm gonna let you buy these houses. I'm gonna let you buy these, whatever you wanna buy. And you're gonna keep growing your portfolio. That's why buying a house is first. So Carla, Lulu, they're gonna get all their money after they invest everything, their 401k and their IRA, they're gonna invest it with the idea that it's just gonna be there to kind of prop them up, make them look like they have a lot of money, which they do. And it's gonna allow them to buy other assets where they can make money off from. Now, I explain this to people and they tell me, no, but tell me, how did you really do it? Or I'll tell friends or family or people that I talk to that read my books. And then they'll ask other people, hey, Ernesto told me this. Tell me the truth, how did he really do it, okay? There's no trick. Okay, that's the special sauce. The special sauce is boring. It's in plain view. If you read all these books from the best investors, I've read in the hundreds of them, and you follow them and you read their autobiographies and you talk to real life investors. I have a lot of friends that are real traders, real stock investors and property developers and everything. There's no tricks. It's boring. And that's what happens. A lot of people look at people like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, and they read their books. I'll be honest, I read their books and I thought, God, this is boring. The hell, there's nothing special here. That's what the special part is, the simplicity. That's where the genius is. It's not about being spectacular. It's about being consistent and following through. And believe it or not, that's what people struggle with the most, just following through and being consistent. That is the secret sauce. Like the story about the rabbit and the turtle. Everybody wants to be like that rabbit, but the turtle won the race, okay? That's when I finally figured that out and I started doing that, that's when I started growing faster than ever. You have to have faith. When I was 24, I started putting money together and I thought, okay, in 3 years, I'm gonna be a millionaire. The math doesn't add up. I'm making like, let's say I made 100 grand a year. That's 300 grand. How am I gonna do that? Don't worry about the how, just focus on this strategy. And remember, I'm not inventing any of this stuff. I'm not gonna take credit for any of this stuff, okay? This is all stuff taught by all the pros. I'm basically just giving you cliff notes on like hundreds of business books. This is just the way you do it. You just have to focus with the end in mind and follow the game plan. I said, all right, I'm gonna close my eyes and just do what they're telling me. You have to be teachable. Don't be arrogant. Allow yourself to be taught. And that's what I had to learn. I started putting my 100 grand. Guess what? In 40 years, I had over $1 million. How? There was all these things happening I didn't anticipate. I started buying property and they tripled. And then they just kept going up. And now I'm 49. It's been 25 years. And I still remind myself that I have a lot to learn. And I still seek out people that can share with me and teach me. And you go out and you try to help people. Like you say, when I was at the party and people are telling me, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take advantage, do that. Nobody wants to hang around with people like that, man. People want people that are honest and cool and wanna help. I just wanna help. It's just common sense. If you wanna be wealthy, you wanna be successful, you need to be cool. You need to be trustworthy. People around you are gonna wanna be with you. They're gonna wanna help you. They're gonna wanna work with you. It's just common sense. You know, I want to do well. So I do my best to help and be honest with everybody. So they're asking, what's the special sauce? This is the special sauce. It's in plain view, real boring, very methodical, nothing exceptional. Just follow the plan that's in my book or everything I just basically told you right now, which is, it's that simple. And you're gonna get to where you wanna be. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. As you're going that place, to where you want to go, you're going to learn and you're going to find ways to better do things, to improve things. You know, on my way to doing certain goals I've learned, I've read books, I've taught myself, I've talked to experts and they taught me and I just keep flowing like the water down the hill, keep improving so I can get to my goal faster and better than I even thought. So now with my years of investing, what's the number one thing? If I had to put it into one thing, control your ego and allow yourself to keep progressing and learning from other people. Once you think you know or you got things under control, you lost. And you're gonna start backpedaling down, okay? Always be open to ideas, just like the taxi driver today helped me fix my computer. make that a habit. Make that a part of who you are. Someone that's not gonna like dismiss what people tell you or say, oh, I know better, or that guy or that girl, no, I'm better than them. No. And listen with an open mind. Don't make assumptions and just focus on trying to take what you can from what they're telling you. Thank you for watching. And from Cali, Colombia, this is Dr. Ernesto, and I'm sharing with you the special sauce of investing.